What's up guys, Phoenix here. This video is going to be another Dueling Network ranked match, and this time I'm going to be playing with the Kozmo deck again. Alexander Lisgate's third place finishing deck list from Vegas this past weekend, because I'm still testing it. I'm still trying to just kind of see all the different things that it kind of gets itself into, and I've been testing it for quite a bit over the course of the day before I started filming this. But I'm going to be playing versus Burning Abyss, and he wins rock, paper, scissors, and he chooses to go first. Starts out his turn by special summoning a Barbar, normal summoning Seer, and then making Dante detaching Barbar to mill 3. And his mills are actually really good. He ends up milling one of the Rhino Warriors and a Kagna, which sets up good and evil in his grave, as well as lets him send anything that he wants to grave to trigger its effect, like, say, Graph or Scarm or whatever. Like, milling Rhino is always very strong in the Burning Abyss deck in general, just because you're able to see exactly what you milled before you then send another card. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous how much that card actually does. It's a shame the Burning Abyss deck isn't actually as good as it really could be right now. But anyway, he sends a Scarm to his grave, and then he discards a Libic from his hand to overlay Beatrice on top of Dante, because all of these cards are now legal on DN because the Gold Series came out today. Nifty, eh? But he sets nothing and ends his turn and searches for Torguide off the Scarm. And I look at my hand, and my hand is not good. It's a lot of back row, which can definitely be used, but ultimately I have nothing to start my plays. It's pretty problematic, so I activate my mulligan effect off of Cosmotown, shuffling back the Slip Rider, because I would definitely have loved to shuffle back a Cosmojo, but you can only shuffle back monsters off of Cosmotown. And my DN is a bit laggy right here for some reason, so I just check the quality settings to see if I'm still on medium. I could put it down to low, but low actually makes it kind of hard to read card texts, because it does start distorting the card box. But I draw another Cosmojo off of the Cosmotown. I'm like, great, I guess I'm not playing this game, LOL. So I set 4, keep Cosmojo in my hand, and pass my turn, just to keep room for a possible E-Telly if I draw it, keep Twin Twister alive, all these different possible factors. And I have a strike and warning down, so I feel like I'm in a decent position, but I'm still like at the mercy of like the fact that this Beatrice is already pre-established on the field. But he activates Beatrice's effect, detaching Seer, and he sends Graph from his deck to grave, and he triggers both the Seer and the Graph. And there's a little bit of a tiny dispute that we have, because he sends 2 from his deck to grave, and I'm asking, like, how did you send 2? Because Beatrice already resolved sending the Graph, and the Seer is going to trigger bringing back something from grave, but then the Graph is going to bring something out of the deck, and obviously both things will die because of the fact that Beatrice is not a Burning Abyss monster. It's not a Burning Abyss name, so the cards that he brings out are going to die off of both Graph and Seer. He still has Torguide in his hand, so that's kind of less of an issue, but still, and you see I'm talking to him in chat, I'm like, yes, Beatrice sent Graph already, so Graph summons 1 from deck and it dies, so why did you send 2? And he says, oh, my bad, and he puts the Barbar back, so he just sends Scarm from his deck to grave. So, I mean, little dispute, but I mean, it's easy. It's really easy if you just explain things to people. I mean, come on now. DN. I love this software. Well, kind of, maybe. There are some frustrating things that DN does. Will not say that there isn't. But all in all, the pros heavily outweigh the cons. But anyway, continuing on with the game, he normal summons Torguide, and I use Solemn Strike on it. I kind of want to save the warning in case, like, I have to deal with like a Traveler or something in the future. Like, that's what I'm wanting to use that card for, because that is the only card that I could honestly see keep me from winning the game if I start getting into cards and getting into relevant things. But so his Scarm gets triggered after he hits me with Beatrice, and he searches Seer, and so I draw an E-Telly, and I'm like, yes, I can start playing the game. Essentially, I needed something to allow me to play the game. So I decide to set the second Cosmojo. Even though it is only a once per turn card effect, I can easily structure my play to where it actually benefits me the most, and then I activate E-Telly to get the Tin Can out of my deck. But he chains a Max C out of his hand, and I'm like, this is terrible. I'm going to give him 2 cards now because I have to. Unfortunate indeed. But I summon Tin Can, and then there's also the instance where I was worried on whether or not he was going to use Beatrice to send a Farfa from his deck to grave and banish my Tin Can. Like, that could have easily been something that he would have done, but maybe he already is going through Farfa, I don't know. I can't remember exactly what was in his graveyard, but anyway, I send a Forerunner, a Sword Trooper, and a Destroyer, and I assign the numbers for Destroyer and Sword Trooper, and he rolls a 5, giving me the Forerunner, which is good. I needed him to give me a ship. That was definitely what I needed him to give me. I don't know why I quite sent the Sword Trooper. I should have definitely sent probably Eclipser, but no, even Eclipser would have been bad. Slip Rider was the only other real option, because that would keep both my Cosmojos alive. But, so, I banished Tin Can, special the Forerunner, and then on his turn, after he's drawn a card and then drawn a card for turn, he gets to use Beatrice and attach Dante. And so he uses Beatrice to send Libic, if I remember correctly, and special the Seer that he searched out of his hand. And I think it's pretty questionable, but he also just forgets his Dante. He just 100% forgets it. He just doesn't actually use it. I'm like, huh, this is odd. This is odd indeed. I don't quite know what he's attempting to do, especially in the face of this Forerunner. So, I don't know. I think the problem with BA currently in the format is that, like, yes, Beatrice gives a lot to the deck, but the issue is that the Kozmo deck itself is already really prevalent, and between Kozmo and Monarch, the deck has a really bad matchup, specifically with Kozmo because of the fact that you can't target their big ships, and so those are really hard for you to get over. And so, like, as soon as I stuck Forerunner on the board, it was just really easy for me to actually sit here and just not have to do much, because one, I've got Cosmojo backing me up, which I can definitely use to bypass his Beatrice and his Seer. I've got double of them down. Like, it's pretty simple how that can actually function. But I digress. He ends up setting 2 and passing his turn with the Seer and the Beatrice on board. And in his end phase, I activate Cosmojo after 100% verifying with Beatrice that it has to hit the graveyard and not be removed from field, because some cards do say removed from field, like, you know, Gear Gigant and stuff like that. But I activate the first Cosmojo, target my Forerunner, and he thinks for a little bit and decides to chain Twin Twister. And Twin Twister discarding an Effect Veiler, which he probably actually just should have kept. And he targets my Twin Twister, and I ask him for both targets, so that I don't end up getting, like, cheated out of, like, what he saw and then target a different card. So he ends up popping my Warning and my Twin Twister. And so my Cosmojo resolves and I banish his Beatrice, and then the Forerunner effect triggers and I summon the Slip Rider out of deck. Cosmojo has a really cool interaction with all those higher ships because it allows you to summon Slip Rider and clear 2 cards with your Cosmojos and stuff, and you still keep the Slip Rider, you still keep your resource. But I can't activate the second Cosmojo yet, so I go to, you know, standby phase, main phase of my turn. I drew a Dart Destroyer, which is really good for me, and then I activate the other Cosmojo targeting Slip Rider and ask him for a response. And I'm kind of on the fence on whether or not I want to banish his Seer or his back row, but the fact that he's already, you know, I've already sent a strike to his grave makes me feel like there's a very low chance of there possibly being another strike there. So I use Slip Rider. I kind of look at what's in my grave and my banish pile. I have a Tin Cannon banished and I have a Sword Trooper in grave, so I kind of contemplate for a minute that I could get Sword Trooper out of my deck, use Sword Trooper to get back Sword Trooper, and then I could overlay the Sword Troopers into Leviair and get back Tin Can, and then summon Dart Destroyer, go into Strawman, and then also get the Dart Destroyer back again, and I'd have 18, 500, and 3k hitting, and then in phase I'd get a Tin Can search. But I ultimately just decided to go for a Farm Girl because I can kind of do the same sort of play by searching another Dart Destroyer here, and go Farm Girl, hit 15, pay 500 search Dart Destroyer, banish Farm Girl, summon Dart Destroyer, and then use Dart Destroyer target itself, and banish, and then get a Straw Man and attack with it. It's less damage, but it ends me with 2 pilots as well. The Sword Trooper play is definitely just better, but I actually just decided to just go with something simple like Farm Girl because I wanted to do damage before possibly running into another strike if that's what that card was. But regardless, he just doesn't want to continue the game because, I mean, I've got access into Dart Destroyer now and he knows it, so he just scoops, and then we go into siding for game 2. Now my deck is inherently just a little bit better than his because it's harder for him to deal with my threats than it is for me to deal with his, so I just side Max C's and pass, and he chooses to go first again, and I Max C the reveal of his Cagna, or not Cagna, Calcab, and he sets 2 and passes. And during my standby phase he flips Imperial Iron Wall, and I have the out to it in my hands. I have E-Telly plus Slip Rider, and I've got Cosmojo as well. I've got all these cards that can just out this Imperial Iron Wall. So I go to Inner Battle phase to play around Valor, and I play the E-Telly, and I'm going to go into Farm Girl, and I'm going to attack with Farm Girl over the Calcab, and then the Farm Girl will get me a search for a Cosmo Town, and then I'll be able to Tribute Summon Farm Girl for Slip Rider and then pop the Iron Wall, and then I've got the Cosmojo live to go into Sword Trooper. Whenever Slip Rider dies, I can just go into Sword Trooper, and Sword Trooper will bring back the Farm Girl because it was tributed. Like, there's all just really cool interactions that are happening here, and my opponent just decides, I guess his hand was really weak, or he just didn't want to deal with it, because I basically do 100% have the out. E-Telly is a 1-card out in that situation, even if I didn't already have the Slip Rider, because I could search the Slip Rider, and then main phase 2 and tribute summon it. So all of these factors did lead into playing into why he just decided not to continue the game and scooped. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about these games. As usual, if you like Kozmo, if you like Burning Abyss, let me know in the comments down below. If you don't like either of the decks, let me know. Just post a comment, just say what's on your mind. I really like to see what's on people's minds, basically. I really like to actually read comments. It's actually really, really entertaining and refreshing to me. But anyway, other than that, as always, guys, like, comment, subscribe to all the nonsense you usually do. Links are in the description of my Facebook pages and my Twitch channel and Twitch Alerts donation link if you want to check any of those out. Donate directly to me if you want to. If you want to just chat with me, connect with me through Facebook, use those links for whatever you want to use them for. That is why they're there. But other than that, as always, guys, take care.